Hi there and welcome. This is the hydraulic valve chest and right-hand ramshaft bracket out of the David Brown 990 tractor that I've got behind me over here. If you're new here, this video is part of a series where I'm fixing the hydraulics on this tractor. The spool valve was really stuck and the valve chest itself was really dirty. In the last video, I took the valve chest apart mostly and cleaned it up. And in this one, we're going to reassemble the valve chest, put all the valves back in it, and get it reattached to the right-hand ramshaft bracket. I'll also be doing setting 1, checking the abutment plate using the setting gauges that you see here. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the whole valve for a moment. You've got the cap, the washer, the spring. I'm missing the plate with 3 holes, the ball, and the plunger itself. Case actually has these in stock. About 20-30 bucks. They actually ordered me one. Right there it is, brand new. So now we have the hold valve complete. We have the 3-hole washer where it's supposed to be. All right, let's get this valve chest back together. You will remember though, I did not take out the TCU valve. TCU valve is right here. Works great. All right, let's start off with the hold valve. The hold valve goes right here into this bore. We're gonna squirt a little bit of oil down in there. Oil the plunger. Next, we'll drop in the ball. Next, I'll put this 3-hole plate in. See if you can see that. Ooh, we're dripping oil. Then we have the spring. Then we have the cap. Okay, that's the hold valve. All right, so let's get to the bypass valve next. I'll go ahead and squirt a little bit of oil in the bore there. All right. The restrictor washer here goes in the bottom of the valve body. Make sure it's flat in there. It does mention that there's supposed to be a paper washer on the bottom and the top of that restrictor washer. I'm not putting it in there right now. We'll see how it works without it. And if I need to put the paper washer in, this valve is accessible from the top of the tractor and I can get it out. I want to see, and there wasn't a paper washer in there, so I'm not going to put one back in. Screw the brass plug in. Make sure it's tight down in there. Okay, brass plug is in. Squirt a little oil. Put the plunger in. Put the spring in. We'll put the metering pin in now, making sure it goes through that brass plug and through the restrictor washer. It should sit on there, I guess, similar to that. Lastly, we've got the cap and the washer. Okay, bypass valve is done. We're going to continue on the top here. We've got the hold relief valve next. We have the restrictor washer. Just drop it in there so it's flat. And we'll stick a little bit of oil down in there. Then drop in this piece. It's called the seat. And I actually had 4 shims. I think I said I had 3. I can't remember. But there's actually 4 shims here for me. We're going to drop those in. And make sure they're flat down in there. Good. Now we've got the hold relief valve plunger. Make sure it's straight up in there. Then we have the spring. And the plug. Hold relief valve is done. Next, let's do the latching valve. This end comes out, the flared end down on the bottom. Down here, it goes in first. A bit of oil. A bit of oil. Spring. And plug. Okay, latching valve is done. All right, let's go to the non-return valve next. You'll need a 15/16 socket for that plug. Drop the plug in. Drop the spring in. I'm going to put a little oil inside. Drop the spring in. And then the plug goes on top. Good and tight. Got the plunger. Stick it in, the little nipple part up towards you. Spring. And then the plug. Good and tight. This is the needle valve that goes in the front of the valve chest for the lowering control. Goes in that hole right there. I'm going to leave it out for now. When I reinstall the valve chest onto the right-hand ramshaft bracket, I don't want this getting damaged, so I'm going to leave it off for now. And last but not least, the spool valve. We have the spool valve itself, the spring. The little end goes toward the bottom of the spool valve right here, just like that. We're going to turn it over. We're going to insert the spool valve into the bore. I'm going to push it up with my finger. The washer on. Get a nut on. And then the other nut. All right, I should have this zeroed. Let's check it. 0, 0, 0. I need to be at 100. I've got 100 written on the bottom of the spool valve. That number is in thousandths, the amount of travel you're supposed to have. You adjust it with the lock nuts up here on top. So I need to gain 15 thou or so. You can be over by 1 thou. I'm probably going to shoot for trying to be over by a half a thou. So I'm going to probably try to shoot for 100.5 to 103/4. Just like I talked about in the last video, I had to grind down a wrench so it would fit right here, while having another one also there to adjust these lock nuts. It's a trial and error thing. You cannot take a measurement unless those lock nuts are tight. I'm going to aim for probably about 4 over, tighten it down, and then check it. There's a slot on the end of the spool valve where a screwdriver will sit to keep it from turning. Whoops, wrong way. Yeah, looks like I'm around 102. Close, but I'm not. I need to be at no more than 101 for what's etched on the bottom of my spool valve is 100. I can't be more than 1 over, so I need to back it off a little bit. So I need to come down to at most 101, but I can't be below 100. Now in the last video I got really lucky and I got it on the first try. I don't know if I'm going to be that lucky today. But you see the process? I'm going to jump ahead to when I get it right. All right, I think I've got it. It took me about 5 or 6 tries. Of course, it's kind of difficult not to hit the dial indicator when you're doing this, so hopefully I won't hit it. 0. There's 100. But if I do it enough, you can see that it does come back out enough. It comes out maybe a half. I've seen it at about 3/4 of a thou over. It's over. So I'm thinking the setting is between 100 and 101, somewhere in there, it just depends. So I've got the lock nuts over here tight. I think we're good to go on the adjustment of the spool valve. All right, let's get this abutment plate back on. You got 3 shims here for me. Put the dowel in its hole. Push it down. It's a tight fit. But it'll draw down with the screw. My hands are greasy. There we go. Okay, abutment plate has been remounted. All right, let's get this right-hand ramshaft bracket and the valve chest reassembled. Why won't it go down there? There we go. Just got to fiddle with it until it gets down in there. Hey, look, my spool valve actually moves. Okay, so we got a lock washer there, lock washer there. Put the nut on, put the nut on. Remember, there is a bolt that goes on the inside as well. Just going to finger tight those until I get that bolt reinserted. There we go. Oopsie, where'd it go? Okay, that is officially reattached. Okay, so for setting the abutment plate or checking the measurement of it, you're going to need two things. You're going to need one, a feeler gauge, and you're going to need a setting gauge. I'm going to put a few videos down in the description below where a few of us got together. Barry, with Man from the Mist, and Lance from Bundy Bear Shed got together and created plans for these. These are 3D printed versions of that setting gauge. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Lance. We'll see how these work. It's the first opportunity I've had to utilize them since they sent them to me. All right, let's start off with Lance's here. To set the abutment plate, you're going to need to use the top hole right here. You put it in, you put that top hole right there on this arm, this little nub that comes out of the shaft right there. Put it in there. Make sure it's flat down on the casting there. And then the instructions say, check the clearance between the rocket lever and the spool valve. This should be 1 to 3 thou. If the clearance is incorrect, remove the abutment plate and add or remove shims as required. We've got a 1.5 thou feeler gauge and a 2 thou feeler gauge. This is 1.5 thous is as low as this one goes. I don't have a 1 thou feeler gauge. All right, press down and insert the 1.5 thou right in through there. Just barely goes in there. I've got a little bit of drag on it. So I'd say that we're in good shape there. That's a little bit, that's right at 1.5 thou. My range on the measurement there should be between 1 thou and 3 thou. I'm right on target with Lance's setting gauge. Woohoo! Now let's check Barry's. Okay, let's do the same thing. 1.5 thou goes in, drags a little bit. Good. And I'm going to try 2 thou just to be sure. 2 thou will not go in. So I'm right at 1.5 thou on the gap between the rocker lever there and the spool valve, which is right in spec. Needs to be between 1 thou and 3 thou of clearance. All right, so thank you, gentlemen, for these. I don't have a 3D printer yet, so I can't print these, but if you're in Australia, reach out to Bundy Bear Shed if you need one of these. If you're in Europe, I guess, or well, I guess anywhere, reach out to both of them, but reach out to Man from the Mist or Barry on his YouTube channel. They work. All right, like I said on setting 2, setting the TCU screw, I'm not touching it. I didn't take the TCU valve out. This has not been moved from the factory setting, I'm assuming, and it seems to work fine. So I'm not going to worry about that. If you want to adjust your TCU screw, read the manual and do what it says. That's all I'm doing here is reading the manual and doing what it says. All right, so this video is done, I think. We've put everything back in. We've set the spool valve travel to what it's supposed to be for my valve chest. We've remounted it to the right-hand ramshaft bracket, and we have done setting number 1, setting the abutment plate, which I didn't have to do anything. It was fine as it was. All right, that does it. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day.